On this episode of the Dudes and Dads podcast, we chat with our good friend Mariah Miller about her recent plotless walk. Joel, words are not coming to me today.
Plotless. That's going to be, I'm going to work on that.
Unplotless is like you have a plot.
Yeah. Plot, yeah. It's like a double negative.
I can't, yeah.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the Dudes and Dads podcast. Glad to have each and every one of you along for the ride. Excited about our conversation this evening. But Andy, I do want to check in with you first and foremost. We are entering the end of August. We're getting into the groove, the school groove.
Everyone's back to school.
Back to school. Schedules are normalizing, I hope.
I think so.
I think so too. What's the feel around the Lehman house right now? Like what?
Chaos.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Okay. You've
good chaos.
The way you're embracing it is really
it's good chaos.
I find it refreshing.
It's good chaos.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, we had a ton of kids over in and out this past weekend. A group of 8th grade boys that were walking in and out of my house at strange hours. It was like keeping tabs on them. Aaron had one of his friends over, Brandon, over to hang out with us for the weekend, which was super great. And then cousin Evan returned from out west.
Oh yes, cousin Evan.
He's returning, and we're glad to have him back. And so there were bodies overnight strewn about my house all over the place. I was worried about walking on somebody, but no, it's the good chaos. I get it. It's good to have people around. It's good to see. Here's what it is. It's good to see your kids, your young people, putting down their screens,
mm-hmm.
and even if they're up to some shenanigans, some hijinks, some tomfoolery, at least they're doing something together that feels different, that feels social and interactive. You know what I'm saying?
I'm good. Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. Well, hey everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm excited.
Yeah.
For this evening, for so many reasons that we'll get into.
Joel.
Yes, Andy.
Our people watching today can actually join us either in a Zoom backstage at joinbackstage.live, or they can call. I like this one. They can call our voicemail line.
Oh yeah.
And that number, I don't even remember what that number is. Oh yeah, 574-501-4467. That would get you live on the show with us too.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes, both of those things.
You're just inviting all kinds of interaction.
I am.
I love it.
We know Mariah has lots of fans.
Yeah.
And so
let's just be clear. Having Mariah on was just a cheap trick to get our viewership just shot up immediately. So we'll see if it works. No, seriously, we're excited about the conversation. But hey, everybody, as you know, so many of you chip in various ways to support this show, to keep it on the airwaves, as it were, and we're grateful for you. But on top of that, we have our official corporate sponsor, Everence Financial, and so we want to take a moment to send it over to them for another Everence Money Minute.
Hi, this is Marlene Croker with Everence Financial Michiana, sharing today's Everence Money Minute. Everence partners with churches to help them align their financial practices with their faith values. We provide tools, guidance, and services from stewardship education and generosity initiatives to retirement planning and church financing, so congregations can thrive spiritually and financially. Our goal is to support churches as they disciple their members in faithful stewardship, care for their leaders, and strengthen their ministries for the long term. If you're interested in finding out more about church consulting or the many other financial services provided by Everence Financial, contact me, Marlene Croker, at 574-537-8773, or head over to our Everence website at everence.com/Michiana.
Well, thank you, Marlene, and thank you, Everence. Appreciate the support. Well, hey, without any further ado, we want to introduce our guest this evening, Miss Mariah Miller. Mariah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, you're going to stay happy because, well, here's the deal. Truth be told, I'm talking with Mariah And I get asking her about her most recent adventure. And she said to me, and this is what clicked for me. She goes, I could talk about this forever. And I said,
perfect, bring her on the show.
Let's get her on.
That was verbatim.
She's not a dude or dad, but we love having non-dudes and non-dads on the show. So.
We do.
I was wondering how that was going to work. I didn't know if you had
no.
dudes
There's
and
no
dads.
like,
yeah. We have both of our wives have been
wives
on.
and some other
Beautiful.
It's when we've got it's Andy and I are dudes and dads, and that's where the show comes from. But we're not exclusive. We don't keep the ladies out. we welcome them in, especially if they've got great stories to tell, which I know you do. So here's a little background for everybody, Andy, because I first met Mariah Miller the beginning of her 8th grade year.
A way long
and she is no longer in 8th grade. Just for for those of you that are not watching and are listening only, she's no longer in 8th grade. And this ray of sunshine over here, let me just tell you, what a time. And I'm very, very clear that when I was a youth pastor, I had no favorites, but there are some students that have a unique place in my heart. And Mariah Miller is one of those people, undoubtedly one of those people. And I think you'll all, as you're listening, you're going to find out why, because her approach to life is something that I find personally inspiring. And by the way, as a youth worker, it's just, you have an advantage. My fellow youth workers, you know this. You get to hang out with young people, and it keeps you young. It energizes you. That's the hack.
When Mariah graduated, you became old. Is
yeah.
that what?
Well, yes, as the young people. Well, like just last summer. Someone who would have been, I believe, in Mariah's class, like I performed their wedding ceremony.
Yikes!
And that does put things in perspective, right? So yeah, there you are. So yeah, that's my connection with Mariah. Mariah is her family's here at Clinton Frame. We were talking at church. She was telling me about this recent adventure, which is one adventure in a list of several, which we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
So. I want to start at the beginning, Mariah, because when I first met you, as I have said, I thought this girl will do interesting things, but
I'm glad you thought that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Okay. I think she's up for a good time, which is great. There's good energy there. It's great, but you can never predict, as it is with so many of us. You can never look down the road too far and really think you're going to accurately predict what you're going to do. And so, you have taken, in some places, a traditional path after you graduated high school, and in other ways, less of a traditional path after high school.
That's
and
true.
It's a real hybrid approach, which is what I dig. It's just a good time. So, I want you to just kind of think for us. Because there's a kind of a backstory. The big thing for this show, the kind of the culminating experience, is that you recently hiked the Camino de Santiago, which is in Spain and has got all this lore and tradition and history behind it, and it's really amazing. But you didn't start there. You've done some other things that I feel like maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but have sort of built to this. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure. I think it all kind of goes together.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with. You graduate high school. How many years? There we go. Graduate high school. How many years ago?
6. I graduated in 2020.
Yeah. By the way, crappiest year to graduate high school ever. Mariah was in that great cohort of students nationally due to the COVID epidemic who basically you're going about your semester, school shuts down, you never come back.
Yeah.
And you guys graduated eventually, like you had a ceremony eventually of some sort?
Yeah, my school did like a drive-through type, but I'm very hesitant to complain because, not because I didn't complain, but because there's a lot of like heat for people in my grade online.
Oh, sure.
They're like, oh yeah, class of 2020 will never shut up about it. So I just say,
you made it. I, as a youth worker, though, watching it happen, it felt like, okay, like this is a culminating experience, and you're not getting to experience it. And I thought that was really, really rough. But you graduated, and then you said to yourself, what? What was the next step for you?
I think I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to study, really. I didn't know a lot of things.
Sure.
But I knew I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get that experience, and I wanted to learn. I enjoy learning. School is hard for me, but learning is a wonderful thing to do. So I knew I wanted to keep extending my education.
So you're like, okay, I think, I'm going to go to college. You end up choosing Eastern Mennonite University, and you head out there, and you chose a major. Why tell us the major and why.
Well, originally when I started,
as every good college freshman,
it was biology.
Yeah.
Science has always been the hardest subject for me.
So you're like, hey, let's go major in that.
I don't know why I chose that. My parents warned me against it, but tell me no and I'm gonna do it. But I started that because I wanted to be a physical therapist. But then I was in the intro classes, which were also the weed out classes, and they did their job. They weeded me out. I was like, I can't do this, or I could have done it, but I didn't want to. It was really tough, but also not enjoyable. Things can be tough and enjoyable, but that was not one of them for me. So I pivoted, and I ended up graduating with a degree in marketing and a minor in photography.
Okay. What interested you in the marketing and photography piece? Like what kind of...
That's a great question. I did actually shadow a woman in marketing in high school, and I really enjoyed that. But again, my parents were like, you should do this, and I was like, no. So that was
by the way, Joel and Angela, as they're listening right now,
I'm sure they are
feeling a level of vindication, because not only they're hearing her say it, but this episode will be saved forever.
It's recorded,
for them to take snapshots, little be like, yes, finally. And not only that Mariah is actually just openly admitting that this was the wisdom was good. They were right.
They were right about that. It did fit me really well. It mixes like communications and relationships with business, and growing up in a family that just business is the way of life. Like it felt really natural, and also like being with people, living or working in hospitality, growing up in that, just like it came really naturally.
And creativity, like
exactly
the ability to sort of invent and think about. And marketing is also, we don't talk about this the way we should, I think, and sometimes in terms of it's like it's an investment in relationships, and it is an investment in solving problems too.
Absolutely.
Right? There's a big problem solving component. So a lot of creativity goes into that. Okay. So you head off to college, you get dialed in, you're like, okay, finally, it's marketing, it's photography. This is what I am studying. And then you complete your degree. This young lady, surprise, she finishes college.
You were surprised about that?
I was not. Some might have been. Some might have been like, oh, what's Mariah gonna do? I don't know. What she will she finish? Where is she gonna go? No, she did fantastic. She finishes college, and then everybody asks you the question after you graduate.
Right. All asking, what am I gonna do? The thing is, I kind of actually I had a plan. It just was very different. I actually knew I wanted to be in the van before I finished college, and that kind of stemmed from actually the semester abroad I took my sophomore year of college.
Yes, okay.
I spent 4 months in Peru in South America, living there, going to school half the time, and then volunteering the other half of the time. And while I was there, I had this realization that like I can do what I want to do. Like in the sense of if I want to go travel, I can go travel. And at the time I really, really loved this YouTuber that was living in a van. And I was like, well, she can do
by
it.
the river. No,
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people say that. I didn't know the reference, but I did learn it.
That's a boomer problem.
But I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So that was my sophomore year. And then I actually bought my van between my junior and senior year of college. So I had already like committed to the bit at that point and like kind of had to like
So when you say van, can you explain that to our listeners what you're talking about?
Yeah, I bought a 1998 Ford Econoline conversion vans.
And those of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s, we know this van.
Yeah.
This is the van. This is the family van before the minivan had hit.
Right. It's the big,
It's the van that if you went on church mission trips that were like regional,
you'd have,
and you knew a family that had one of those, that was what you wanted to ride in. That was where, because that's going to have the nice plush seats. It's going to be a smooth ride. You're going to have leg room, which is fantastic. So you find where did you find the van at, by the way?
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, see, there you go.
That's the best place. So
I love Facebook Marketplace. That's why I have Facebook.
Yep.
So you found this van. You actually went on a mission to convert that to like a camper van, right?
Yes. So it was disgusting when we got it. And my, of course, my dad helped me with, well, my dad did a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it was learning for both of us, more me than him, of course. But, it was so disgusting when I got it. It had shag carpet everywhere, and it was dirty.
And this is kind of like the interior, if you all can imagine this. And we'll get Marv the van. We'll get time. We'll make sure that we over at dudesanddads.com we'll show you the photos. But white with kind of a aqua green trim.
Yeah, and stripes. Don't forget the stripes.
The stripes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then on the inside, it was green. The green,
but not a good one. I love green. Green's my favorite color.
But not that green.
Not that green.
Yeah, that green had seen some miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen a lot of miles. It was actually really gross when we like took the seats out. We could see the original color of the carpet.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, we should be wearing like protective gear.
Yeah. Okay. So you get the van, and I'm guessing you did because you're basically gutting the back side of this, because you were turning this into your living space on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
What guidance? Because I just, in my mind, if I get a van, I have some ideas of like what I'm going to need to do to it, but getting from point A to point B is a little bit of a, like, were you guys just like, hey, we're gonna do some research on this, or were you just like, we're tearing stuff out and then we'll figure it out from there?
Yeah. It was a little bit of both. Before I even like pitched the idea to my dad, I did a ton of research, budget wise. I watched a lot of videos.
Because Joel Miller was going to ask those questions, to be clear. Oh,
one thing I know about my dad is he has a million follow-up questions. So I tried to be prepared for all of them. So he knew I was serious.
Yeah.
And so I did a ton of research of like material cost and like what other people could do their conversions for, what things they paid a lot of money for that I don't care about, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I forget what your question was.
Well, okay, so it was kind of the level of research. How much of it was learn as you go? How much of it was like, we drafted up the plans and like had everything?
So a lot of the beginning time, especially we did this in kind of 2 summers. And the first summer was tearing things out, and the second summer was building things up. And in the first summer, I would sit in the van and just kind of like dream about what that would look like, and draw little like floor plan pictures that were like so crappy, like not to size, just like what I wanted it to look like. And then we consulted some other friends. My dad has tons of friends who do tons of things, and so they kind of gave us ideas, and then we just started where we knew we could. So we started from the floor and kept going.
What So I know this because if you go to over to Mariah's socials, you'll see, because I told her I did a deep dive. I had to refresh my memory on kind of the process because she documented a lot of this. Marv has his own Insta account.
He does. I did fall off on that though.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. This is also my we'll call it covert plan to get Mariah back engaged on the socials, because people are going to be like, we need to see more of this, right? But what I remember seeing is after it was like the initial insulation portion, which looked absolutely wild because you're spray foaming this, right?
I was in a big white suit.
Oh man.
I don't think I actually needed it, but I wanted to wear it. And I shouldn't have. I was so sweaty in there. It was in the middle of the summer. That specifically is a special one. My dad and I, of course, did it together. Neither of us had spray foam insulated before, and my dad let me do it. Thank you. I wanted to do it. It was so much fun, and I was having a great time. But my dad kept yelling at me. And I mean, I did get some of it, but there was a nozzle with like angles, and you had to get certain angles. And I'm like trying to get these angles, and it's hard, and I don't know how to do it. And he's like, no, just do it this way. And I'm like, I don't know how. But I wasn't going to admit that at the time.
Sure.
And also I was like, you don't understand. You've never used this foam gun before.
Yes.
Anyhow, editing that back, I was like, oh my, I would have, if I was my dad, I wouldn't have been able to handle that. Like, because I was only seeing it from my perspective, but taking a step back and seeing him like, here, do this. And then I didn't do it, or I did the complete opposite, that I could see that being frustrating.
Good old hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
So the idea, obviously, the spray foam part, you do all that because now part of it is, as we'll see, that Mariah is camping all over the place. And you were camping in various seasons, and you want a reasonably warm place to sleep when you're wherever you are.
Yeah.
So you spray foam it, and then you line it with some other material.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like what the wall is made of. It's
like an MDF kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't even actually know what it is, to be honest.
And then you put, let's see, there's a bed in there.
Yes. I've got a bed. I've got like a countertop that has a pantry underneath it, and then a sink
Gotcha.
that's halfway in front of the double doorway.
Yes.
And it can spin out to be my shower.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh.
So
yeah. Well, on a rough day, my shower.
I was curious about the shower piece, like how that all worked. Because I imagine like you did all of this, and then you took you finished the project as best as you were like, okay, was it like okay, we're now done, or we're like, this is good enough, I'm gonna get going?
It was this is good enough. I had a deadline. I was coaching out in Virginia, so I had to leave.
Yes.
And the day I was leaving, Bryce, thank goodness he was there, finished installing the sink.
Yes.
The sink. And then 30 minutes later I was leaving.
Oh,
Wow.
Fresh installation.
You got to wait till you're on the road to make sure it works.
He was like, yep, it works. I was like, all right, let's get going.
So you get on the road, you head out, you're heading out east, and does everything work?
No, I get a flat tire in Ohio.
Oh, not even that far from here. I mean, right?
No, it was like 4 hours from here.
But still.
Yeah, I got a flat tire, and in that moment I was like, I've been training for this.
That's right.
Like my dad showed me 10 minutes before I left how to get the spare tire down. I can do it. I don't need to call my dad. I can do it by myself. And I got the first tire off.
Mm-hmm.
I got it jacked up. I got the first tire off. And then I couldn't get the second tire back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was having a meltdown on the side of the highway in Ohio. And I got back in the van and got a snack, because that's how I handle a meltdown.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I need a break. I need to sit down and I need a snack. And then I called my dad and I was like, I need to change a tire. And he was like, oh, well, I was like, well, I actually took it off already. And he was like, why didn't you call me? I was like, I wanted to do it myself.
We're seeing a recurring theme throughout this. So
yes.
The battle, the journey toward independence. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I did do it myself. I just had to call my dad, and he did send me a YouTube video that was like for my vehicle. Yes. And I was like, oh, that makes much more sense.
Yes.
Dads, they're great.
They're great. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I could have done that. So
yeah. And but the deal is, and you know, your family is similar to ours in that youngest child is the only girl, and you know you've raised boys, and you're like, certainly, you know, they've seen we've done the trainings with them because they're the first round through this, whatever. And I wouldn't say it's even necessarily specific to the only girl, but it's the youngest kid. Usually as a parent, I know, like, I just assume that these kids have been like absorbing this stuff like by watching their older siblings, or like through osmosis, you know, whatever.
Right.
And that is not true.
No,
that is not true at all. It's kind of you have to hit the reset button each time.
Exactly.
Did you like? I'm just curious, because you've undoubtedly encountered, and I'd love to hear like what your top ones are. Like several challenges along the way, things that were unexpected, unplanned. Kind of the oh crud, what do we do now sort of stuff. Is there one of those experiences that comes to mind as you were traveling around, where it was like where the solution was not immediately obvious to you with what you were trying to overcome?
Do you mean like With the van?
Yeah. Like in your, Well, let's start with we'll do the van. And then if there's other ones where you're like that we're not van related.
We'll dig in.
Yeah. I'll even find that out too.
Yeah, I don't know where I got this mindset from, but I do see it a lot in my dad. Is that like it will work out, which has been, I mean, that you also have to grow. You have to, learn how to have that as a mindset. But truly, like, something that just brings me so much comfort that I am so privileged to be able to say is that when I have problems, I know that I can call my dad, I can call my brother, I could call my uncles.
Yeah.
I could call my aunts as well and my mom. Like I could call anyone in my family, my grandparents, and they would do whatever they could in their power to help me. So I am so blessed by that, and that whenever I have issues, like whatever happens, like my family has me, even if they are like miles and miles away, like they'll help me figure it out. So I do have that as a way of like softening that blow a little bit. But on the other hand, I do really like to be independent. So I do try my hardest to figure things out on my own. Google is amazing.
Sure.
And some things that others might feel like are problems, like if it's not like a mechanical problem, aren't always a problem for me. I'm very flexible, very lenient.
I want to say that there is a story somewhere in the midst of this where, and maybe you were out west, where the van did have a mechanical problem, and some people surprised, like you had some people that like surprisingly sort of like God was watching over you and sent you the right people. Does this? I'm trying to remember this story. So,
to set the scene, it's November in Colorado.
Yes.
And I actually was with a friend, thank the Lord, because that did make it a lot easier. This was one of the bigger like issues I had, and we stopped at a gas station. We were 2 hours away from our destination, and which meant we were in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And when I turned the van back on, it sounded like a tractor. And I was like, well, that can't be good and can't be covered by the radio. And so I was like, I don't know what to do. So I slowly pulled my van like away from the gas pump, and we were like, what are we going to do? Long story short, because it is a very long story. The lady from the gas station was like, when I get off of work in an hour, I'll help you. And I was like, okay, because it was a Sunday and it was also a holiday.
Yes.
And also they had just had 2 feet of snow like the night before.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just really tough. It was really cold. There was no one who was able to help us that night. And so she was like, if you can go slowly to my house, you can plug into my stuff. You can, whatever. She was literally like the town, the funny like shows or movies where like one person puts on one hat and is like the mechanic, and then puts on another hat, is like the doctor. She was that lady.
Yeah.
Like she
unofficial mayor.
She, while we were there, she hopped on her snowmobile and took dinner to 3 elderly people.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, oh, and my elderly man thinks he's having a heart attack. I got to go check on him. I was like, oh, who are you? She was crazy in a great way.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of characters trying to help us out. There was a guy trying to like fix the issue, which was I don't even remember what it was. A gasket maybe? Blue? I don't even know. I should know that. And he didn't fix it, but he tried. And it was really, really sweet. Like he was just like spending his free time trying to help us. And there's so much kindness in strangers. And that was like such a lesson I learned from that specifically. But also like in the van, I really thought that my perception of people and the world would go down. Like I thought I'd run into a lot of danger and a lot of bad things, because that's what you hear. And not even just from social media, but from like, people, they, tell you need to be careful, you need to be safe.
It's naturally, especially at your age and your stage of life.
And like there is something to say about being safe and having safety. And I do take precautions, but there are so many good people.
Right.
And like the amount of amazing people I've met through traveling is astonishing, and that's part of my love for it.
Yeah.
So how long total were you were traveling? Like you took like different times, right? You stayed at a certain place and did stuff for a while. We're in Florida for a while, working down there.
Yes.
How long overall were you gone traveling?
Well, I come back home, here and there. It's been since I graduated college, so like 2 years. But it's usually in like 4 or 5 month stints. Okay. So 4 months in the van, and then I was home for 2 months, and then 6 months in Florida, and then I'm home for a couple months, and then that kind of thing.
So what kind of places are you going to? Where are you staying? How have you like decided where you will go next?
Yeah, well, the way I decided where I go next is I just decide. I don't know.
You're like, that sounds fun.
No, exactly. Especially in the van. So in the van, it's just whatever I can reach that day. I love Utah and Arizona, that area. Beautiful national parks, beautiful hiking and adventuring. There's all kinds of like canyoneering and things you can do, which is just like stuff I love. That's stuff that fires me up. So that is where I love to be when I'm in the van. I really want to go to like the Pacific Northwest. That's like kind of my what I want to be next. But yeah, in the van, spend a lot of time in the Southwest. But recently, as Joel said, I spent a couple months in Spain. So yeah.
So let's transition to that.
Yes.
To that. So you obviously can't take your van to Spain.
Yeah.
So how did you decide Spain, and how did you get there?
Yeah. So, well, I decided on Spain because of El Camino, of course. And I heard about that from, I know a bunch of people now that have done it like before I went. And I learned about it maybe at the beginning of college, just from, I don't know, I was in hiking communities and that's a big classic hike. And, and I was really interested in it, but didn't have like the push to go necessarily because I was doing van stuff. Yeah. But one of my closest best friends had a break in work and said like, Mariah, we should go do this. And I was like, let's do it. So it was kind of just like good timing for us to be able to go together.
And how long you were there?
We were hiking for 6 weeks. Okay. Yep. I was gone for a total of 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so back in February, while you're all down there too, we were down in Florida, and Mariah, we were at a kind of a little community family get together, so to speak, and Mariah walks in, and she was with her friend, and you guys were like talking about this trip and like super amped up, and I'm like, I'm excited just listening to you talk about this, and we were kind of talking through some logistics. The one conversation that we had, it was just like selection of footwear for this,
oh yeah, man.
Because there's a lot of like practical considerations for this, tons of things to think about. So just for listeners, this will be helpful. Like, talk to us about what this hike, this walk, this journey, this pilgrimage. That's a good word for it.
Because that is what it is.
It is a historical pilgrimage. What is it about? What's the kind of the foundation of it? And then, like, what did preparation look like?
Yeah. So, pilgrimage was the perfect word to use because they called us pilgrims, peregrinos in Spanish. And so the basis of El Camino de Santiago, there's a ton of different ways you can go, or hikes you can take. But the one I did is a 500-mile total across the north border of Spain, from France to like almost the coast. And where this came from was the traditional route of St. James, I want to say.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. Okay. You guys know.
Yeah. Joel knows.
I was like doing research just to make sure I had the right things. Like I knew what it was because I was there, but I just, And so people for hundreds and hundreds of years have taken this like same trail. Some parts of the trail were like marked like historically accurate trail, and some were just like through a town or whatever. But I mean, that's the way they went anyway. Like they went through towns and would stay overnight. So it was very culturally important, and even people who weren't on locals, they would say Buen Camino, which is like what you say to each other. But like recognizing that we were pilgrims. So that was that. That's what the trail even is. But yeah, preparation wise, I spent basically since I started preparing as soon as I knew I was going, which was maybe 5 months in advance or something. And I started just going on walks. The basis was like 15 miles a day.
Okay.
And that was like our baseline. Like that was like, oh, not too bad today. And so I had to start like gaining ability to do that. So at the beginning I was like, oh, I just walked 5 miles. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But we talked, I searched all forever about gear, about shoes, about what I need to take, what I don't need to take, a lot of logistics. I took way too much. And I felt like I was not taking anything, but now if I do it again, I would like not take half of what I took. But yeah, it was like just months of like my free time was spent like thinking about if this shoe is durable enough to last for 500 miles, and if I should take a second shirt, or if I can just take one, or if I should take 3, like that kind of deliberating.
Yeah. So you're doing this hike. You are help explain to us the nature of like the places that you're hiking from, because I think when many of us think like, oh, like hike, you're like, oh, wilderness hiking through. This is different than that.
Yes, very different. Some of it was in the wilderness. Our first day was we started actually in France and over the Pyrenees Mountains into Spain. And so that was wildernessy, but we started in a town and ended in a town. And that's how it was every single day. And, there were some stints in more rural areas where there was only like 3 or 4 towns on the way. And then sometimes there was a town like every couple miles. And so like the kind of basis of our day was wake up, get ready. We would get kicked out of our hostel at like 9 o'clock at the latest. So like you just got to get started. And then walk until you find a cafe and have breakfast and coffee, of course. That is a necessity. And then just keep going until you get to the town you're ending in that day.
Yeah. So did each day feel like, talk to me about the similarity of each day in terms of difficulty and length that you're traveling. Are they all similar, or do they vary?
Yeah, they vary. There was, there was a time when we were in like kind of a deserty area for like 2 weeks. And so it wasn't physically difficult to walk those, like, those were a little bit longer mileage. Like one day we did have like a 20 miler, and that one was a little tough, but it was flat. But it was hot. It was really hot. It was during a heat wave as well. So that was not as fun. We would leave at like 4:30 in the morning to try to like avoid the sun. But like that was what was the difficulty. There was some sort of difficulty in every stage, but it just varied on what was difficult. Later we had a little bit more elevation, especially when we got closer to the coast. But it varied. But I would say like it was not like rugged. Like super crazy.
Yeah.
It was less about the hiking and more about the like act of what you're doing, the practice of it, and the meaning behind it.
I was just gonna say, so like as you're hiking, as you're walking with this, is it mostly just the two of you and your friend, or you come up with other travelers and kind of travel with them for a little bit, or how does that look?
Yeah. So the first night, the first town we stayed in, there was another girl and she was doing the same thing, and she was like by herself, and she asked, can I come with you guys tomorrow? Like, I'm just nervous. And we were like, absolutely. We hiked with her for like days. She ended up, she was only planning to be there for a couple days. So she left, but every day she was with us. So we started off with a group of, some other people that we just kind of gathered. It varied. And sometimes we would walk alone. We would always start at the same time. My friend and I, and then eventually like a little bit wider group of friends, we would all start at the same time. And sometimes we would break off into different groups. Sometimes we would be alone, walk slower, walk faster, whatever. But also sometimes you just get stuck. Sometimes it's getting stuck, but sometimes you start just walking with a random person and you get to know them and you chat. 'Cause also when you're walking, it's really hard to like create distance unless you're really going crazy. Yeah. Right. And so it really turned into learning about a lot of different people in a lot of different stages of life. I talked to a man from the UK who's a big wig in some oil scene. I don't actually even know. And I was like, what are you doing out here? He was like, I don't know, 60, 70, something like that. And we ended up walking together for like an hour and a half and just chatting. And so it was just really, really interesting to like meet people that I would never meet in any other way. And then also have like isolated time to make connection with them.
You I think you mentioned a really important word, and it's a word that I'm fascinated with for multiple reasons. But you talk about the practice of it.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that are know that obviously us sitting here at this table, the sort of the tradition of the Christian tradition of Jesus and of Christian spirituality is always frequently part of our conversation here. But I think for some of us here in the West in particular, kind of, depending on what church background is, we don't talk about practice, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a sense this is also a deeply spiritual thing to do as well. This is not just hiking for the sake of hiking. Clearly, by the way, if you are hiking for the sake of hiking and you take this kind of trip, I think you should just check yourself. There has to be. I mean, it's fair to say there has to be something else.
Don't get me wrong. I did fall in love with walking. I do love to walk now, like in a crazy different way than before.
Sure, yeah, which I can only imagine. But the idea of practice, what is that about for you? What did you learn about practice? Because we talk about spiritual discipline, spiritual practices, things like this. For some, it sounds like we're talking like a kind of a different language. And then you're equating this to the act of a pilgrimage, of hiking from one place to another over an extended period of time, saying that was a practice. I'm just interested in like what that experience was and how you kind of like came to understand that, like what level you came to understand that and experience that, and what the impact it was on you personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I think I meant to use the word practice because that was like really specific. And it is. And I think we hiked for a total of 37 or 38 days. And we had to make the choice to wake up at 4:30 or often later, but no later than 6. We had to make the choice to wake up and make the choice to take however many steps it took to get to our next destination. And that's slow. Like our lives are so fast. Our lives are so fast, even with how we travel. And I remember being at a restaurant and the worker there said he lived in the town that was where we were going to sleep in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, how long does it take you to get to work? And he was like, 20 minutes. 20 minutes of driving was 2 days walking. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm so mad. Right. And so it was a choice to get up, and at any time we could tap out too. You can call a taxi. You can get your bag shipped forward. Like you don't have to, like it's not like rugged in the sense of like I can't turn back. So it was a choice to be there, and it was also like, you did spend 6 or 7 hours a day walking. And you're not talking that whole time. Like sometimes you're alone and you're in the zone, you're thinking, or, things pop up when you're doing that kind of like, focused or repetitive action every day, all day.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of time to be in your own head.
Absolutely.
What did you learn about yourself on this trip?
Well, first of all, I gained a ton of confidence in myself. I've always been pretty confident. I've always had, my parents were super supportive and like helped me feel ready to do things. But, to walk 15, 17, 20 miles and then be able to do it again tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow and so on and so forth, gave me a ton of confidence. I can do that. And there's things that I can do that I maybe previously thought I can't, or that people might tell me I can't, or say that they never could. And I'm like, well, you probably could. We probably all could. Yeah. Like, I don't think that the trek that I just did is impossible for a lot of people. I think it's about learning to like trust in yourself. Yeah. So like there's definitely like that's I think the biggest thing I gained, but also like that travel in itself doesn't necessarily have meaning. Like going somewhere just to be there, just to check it off, that doesn't necessarily have meaning. You have to give it meaning, or search or seek out that meaning. And going, to Spain just to see Spain is fine, totally fine. But there needs to be some sort of goal or some sort of something that gives it meaning. Because just like being there and taking a picture and saying, "Hey, I was here," like that really has no meaning. And it's what you give it. And I think that also is true for life. Like life is, not to say like something so cliche, but like life is what you make it. Like you give things meaning. You can give anything meaning, And so I think that's a huge thing that I learned as well.
Yeah. Were there days that you were just like, I don't want to do this.
Absolutely.
Can I sleep in, please?
Yeah. There were some mornings, again, in the desert. The desert was the hardest. It was physically not too bad. It was mentally so taxing. It was like I could see our ending destination, and it was 2 hours away, It was tough. And so it was a lot of being like, I can keep going. I can do this. I started channeling like different family members. I have a cousin-in-law who's like a crazy athlete. And I was like, I'm just being him right now. I'm just gonna, and like things like that, playing mind games. But in the mornings, sometimes I'd walk with my eyes closed before our coffee break. And sometimes we had like 3 or 4 miles before coffee. And like, that's brutal. And so like I would literally be walking down the road and like have my eyes closed, peek one open. Yeah. So that was definitely tough. That was like, I do not want to do this right now. But at the end of the day, I always was like, I feel so accomplished. Yeah. I feel so good about myself. And I am so proud. Like every day I was so proud. Like even the first day I was proud, the last day I was proud. It was a very, very like beautiful thing to be able to do.
Andy, I think about a couple of years ago, our trip out west to the Tetons, and Mariah, I don't know if I've told you this story. So I think about our fellow Dudes previous guest, Greg, who does just a wonderful time leading these trips out west. And I'll be honest with you, Greg lies to you. He lies to you. He tells you.
Classic hiker.
Yeah, it's like it's still, because essentially we do a series of three hikes. One is very, very beginner, intermediate, and then disproportionately difficult.
And that one I think was tougher than it was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, it was also because of all the places, these places that you hike, and I'm sure this is true and elsewhere and around the world. Some of these places have very descriptive names of like portions of the trail or whatever, whatever. So when it says Devil's Staircase,
it means it.
It means it, right?
Yeah.
So this was in this instance we went on. I mean, it's a major elevation change in a relatively short period of time. Average 37-degree incline for.
Yeah, it was. Yes. It was rough.
And by the way, Mariah, if you encounter other hiking people, and so because sometimes for us, like we lowlanders at the amazing, we right now as we stand here or sit here, we are a little bit over 700 feet above sea level, and we go out west, and this is a new reality. Yeah, you can't breathe. It's a new reality for us. And so I'm always thinking, like, listen, maybe I'm not in shape necessarily for this. Maybe I'm just weak. But this hike seems very, very difficult. But how bad can it really be? And then we, like our last trip, when we summited the basin that we were going up toward. There was another trail that came in from another direction, and there were some very clearly, them when you see them, experienced hikers, people who they're fit, they're rugged, they have. What I've noticed is they have less gear than you have. That's the other. The other thing, because they have brought exactly what they need for the thing. Ran into this guy. He's like, oh, what route are you guys coming from? And I go, Devil's Staircase. He's like, oh, I've never taken that. And then I give him the stats on what it is. He looked terrified, and he was an experience. And I'm like, okay, we've done. We're good. We've clearly done something here, right? But I think in that experience, I mean, and I had Josiah was 13 years old at the time. He was with me on this trip, right?
What a trooper.
Yeah. Well, there was a part where I was not sure that I was going to get Josiah up that mountain.
Yeah.
Like it was.
There was a point that I wasn't sure I was going to get up that mountain.
The point that I have thought about is like the challenge of I'm mentally having to convince myself, just like you're talking about, like, okay, 50 feet at a time, especially when we're up at elevation. I've dialed in my elevation, like above 7,700 feet, I will begin to feel not good. Like as I'm hiking. That for me personally, that like when I hit that, and if I'm having to still go, it's like above that level, I'm not going to feel great. The rest, it's going to be a tax, right? Okay, so we're at that point. I'm having to convince myself that I can do this, and I'm also having to convince my son that he can do this, right? So a dual, like having to summon that energy within myself. But doggone it, it's like the thing is, you do those sort of things. And I remember the conversation with Josiah that evening was, aren't you just immensely proud that we're up here at 10,000 feet in this just totally unique space. It's like being on the moon. I mean, it's just wild up there, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like that does something to you. And I think to your exact point, Mariah, like choosing to put one foot in front of the other. That is like there's all the metaphors and all of that for hiking, but I think it is something about like doing hard things intentionally, deciding to get your butt up in the morning and get after it. That is deeply spiritual. When I was years ago now, when I was studying in Israel, the journey from, as they say, from Jericho to Jerusalem. So it's about 17 miles, but it's through desert. It's through difficult, and the terrain is and I've heard people say like grown men just weeping as not because they're happy to get there, because they think they might die on the way, right?
I feel that.
And it's like we're so detached. I mean, I just love what you said, like, oh, it's a 20-minute car ride, but we're so detached from the actual physical work of going from point A to point B and what goes on inside of us when we do that. Yeah. And I think finding ways to reintroduce ourselves to that reality, because it's like, well, no wonder we're depleted of confidence, right? Because we're not
doing stuff.
We're not doing stuff that's, and I think designed by our creator to build that within us,
100%.
right? Yeah. We have very little time to think about our own thoughts. Like,
yes.
Like now in the psychology world, we call that executive attention, but it's like, why, like your ability to like, everything is out, you're walking, you're doing basically a mindless thing of walking from point A to point B at sometimes. And to be able to think about conversations you've had, reactions to people that you've had, like all the people, the faces and all those experiences that go through your mind and you just kind of click through. You don't do that hardly in any other space or time. I think we just cheat ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
of that.
You can like, even while being on the trail, fill your time with music and stuff. And I did that, of course. Like some days I needed a little like
get me to
just let me get to camp. But there were some really special moments for me. There was one day where I was walking like in the desert and I was more alone that day. And I was just kept thinking of my one family member, my one cousin, who's recently lost her partner or her husband. And I was like, man, I just like, I felt like I was like carrying a part of her with me in that day, which was like, I don't know why I felt that way, but I texted her, with, time difference and stuff, but she was like, it's actually like, today's like 6 months of when he passed. And I was like, that's why, like, I just was feeling you, like I was feeling your presence or whatever. And like, I remember writing in my journal that night, cause I did journal like every single night, that, in some way, I hope that I could carry a piece of her burden, across wherever I went that day. And that was like, something that I wouldn't think of if I was, sitting at home scrolling or, even if at home doing something productive, know?
That experience made you available to connect with her in that way. And I think I'm just really, really curious about like what that would be for any of us if we, if we just created those kind of spaces, I think, to just be aware of the needs of others, aware of our relationships, to think about those sort of things. Because, years ago, one of my professors gave me, when I was in grad school, gave me this article talking about how silence and solitude develop leadership skills and abilities. And basically he's addressing like a freshman class at West Point Military Academy, right? So these are the best of the best students, like sharp people, right? They earned their way there somehow, through a number of different routes. And he's saying, like, listen, you're going to be told when to get up, when to go to bed, what to do. Your day is going to be ordered for you. But if you can't get inside of your own thoughts, if you can't find quiet and solitude in some place, and his whole claim, and I'm still very convinced of this, you'll never know what you personally think about much of anything. Because usually when we think, and I know this is true for me, usually when we start thinking thoughts, we think about what other people have said about stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like that's what comes naturally to us. The, conversations, the perspectives and all of that. Getting down to the core of which I think a hike like yours this long just does this eventually, because it will come one way or the other, where you get down to the core of what are my actual own thoughts about these things, what are my own feelings about these things, and that is a unique place in which I think we can meet God very, very uniquely. In that, I think we can connect to others very uniquely, and it just builds things within us. So I hear those things as you're going on this journey. It's like, this is not just a point A to point B thing. This is something else.
Yeah, because also it wasn't about, it was about the journey. I hate saying all these like cliche things, but there's a reason things are cliche,
Right.
But like it really was not about, it was about getting to Santiago, right? Getting to the end goal, but that wasn't what I took away. That was like a huge moment, emotional. I was like sobbing, crying, ugly crying. There's another girl was taking a video of like all of us walking in. I'm like, oh, it was disastrous. But I'm like holding on to my best friend and crying and whatever. And that was a beautiful moment, but that's not the first thing I tell people. It's the connections, and it's the way I was able to be with myself,
So what is next for Mariah Miller?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm working for now. I'm working for a little bit. I have a bit of a trip planned next July. I'm going to the Tetons.
Yes. Oh, nice.
So I'm really excited about that. There's a women's travel group that I signed up to go with. So it's with a bunch of strangers. And we will be camping and hiking for like, I think, a week or a week and a half, something like that. But that's like the only like travel related thing I have planned. My sister-in-law is pregnant and almost due, so I'm happy to be home and see all, of course, the rest of my family.
Well, and functionally, we're just going to say this: Mariah does have to build back up the savings
Correct.
account.
No, I work, I make money. This is all self-funded.
Yes.
So I do have to, I work to play, but I do enjoy my work as well. I waitress, and I love that. I love being able to make connections in that way as well.
Awesome. Joel, do you know what time it is?
Oh boy, do I ever.
And now it's time for the Dudes and Dads Pop Quiz.
All right. So the pop quiz is the time when we ask you random questions that have nothing to do with your walk or traveling, just to get to know Mariah a little bit better.
Ooh.
You can't prepare for them. You should just be glad that Mark isn't here, our production assistant. He asked some really off the wall.
Yeah, these might be more quote unquote normal.
I was gonna say I can handle off the wall.
Are you sure?
I think I could.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go to the question I asked the other week because I'm interested in the response to this one. Mariah.
Yes.
You've got to hide a body. Which family
Oh,
member are you calling?
I have to hide a body and I have to call a family member.
Like someone needs to help you. Who's the call going to?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh my goodness, I don't know. The problem is like all of my family has too good of consciences, and like they wouldn't be able to help me.
So here's what I would say. Because you're right.
Because they would help me, but they'd be like,
solid moral foundations. I totally agree. Let's pretend they're able to completely separate themselves from any moral, ethical, or spiritual realities.
Okay.
This is a sheer like oh my gosh, there's a dead body, but they're able just to remain very clear headed about.
Okay, in
what
that
needs to be
case, my oldest brother Bryce.
Okay.
Yeah, he's getting things done.
Yes.
He is getting things done.
He can dig a hole quickly.
He can.
Put a sink in the van.
He has big tractor things.
There we go. The machinery is also an important part.
And like if I called my dad, like I'd be getting in trouble. Whereas Bryce would probably also get me in trouble because he's
Mariah,
very adult. Like I mean,
not
I know
a great choice.
Yeah.
But listen, we're gonna put this deeper than 6 foot. We're gonna make sure.
Yes, but like I do know that he would do that for me.
Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. What is one app that you have to have on your phone?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Spotify.
All right.
I listen to music and podcasts like all the time, especially in the van. You know, I'm driving for hours and hours. Like I gotta listen. I'm trying to like lower the amount of time I do that, or like be on my phone in general. But I love Spotify, and I don't go a day without using it.
All right.
Mariah, what's a trip that we need to be taking, that people need to know about, a destination that they need to put on their calendar? Because it's just so important that they get to this place.
Well, of course, it's different for everyone. If you like hiking, well, then you gotta go to Spain.
You gotta go to Spain. Okay.
But I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what good trips are. I enjoy where I go, you know, but I would say like if you're going to national parks, you got to go to Utah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to go to Zion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's kind of they call it the Mighty Five. There's Zion, Capitol Reef, Bryce Canyon. I'm forgetting the other ones. There's 2 more.
Yep.
They're all amazing. They're all very different and they're all very close together. So Utah.
Okay. Utah.
Go to Utah. All right. If there's a sandwich that's named the Mariah Miller, what's on it?
Ooh. Are we talking like a deli sandwich?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Yeah,
well, okay. Well, we're doing a deli sandwich because I love a sub. I had Jimmy John's today.
Nice.
But I would do like a French bread type thing. Salami for sure. Salami. And then I'm gonna do a sharp white cheddar.
Okay.
Which
this is the first on the show.
Yeah.
The sharp white cheddar is the first. I
like
this.
that doesn't really add up, but that's what I like.
Okay.
And then we're stuffing that with some sort of leafy green you can choose.
Okay.
Choose your own.
Arugula?
I love arugula.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
But I know not everybody likes that, so I wasn't going to subject that to everyone.
No.
But it's your sandwich.
Okay,
It's your
arugula
sandwich,
then.
right.
Then it's
Arugula.
arugula. I forgot to mention that before we put anything in there was tons of mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah.
And then oil and vinegar on top. And I think we're good.
Perfect.
It's a mature sandwich.
Like
Maybe
it.
some pickled onions. I've really been into pickled onions. I made them for my family the other day.
Okay. Wow. Right. Just it's full of surprises. My final question is going to be around. We could ask about favorite podcasts, what we should be listening to, or maybe what we should be reading. I don't know if you're listening to the books or if you're reading them or how you're doing that, but like what so we can do this podcast or book.
Okay.
What's been your best listen and or read in this last year?
I'm going to encourage reading because I'm newly, as of like the past 2 years, like getting big into reading.
There we go.
And it's so good. I love
listen,
when I'm in
listen
reading
close,
phases.
20 somethings, listen close.
And a book that has just been like so beautiful to me recently is The Secret Life of Bees by Supunk Kid, I think. It's a beautiful book. It's I think like it's like historical fiction type, recently like post-slavery. But it's about this group of really dynamic, wonderful Black women who take in like basically like an orphan of this little white girl, and it's just so interesting and so beautiful, very sisterhood like. So
there we
Gotcha.
go. Okay.
My final question is, how do you take your coffee?
Oh, it's a great question because when I was in Spain, everyone was like, "You like sugar and milk," you're hating
like,
on American coffees, and
right.
I'm like,
That's right.
If I'm getting like a diner coffee, I'm just taking it black. If
There
I'm
we
getting a
go.
diner,
All right, yeah, there we go.
of course. If I'm getting like an espresso though, I do like I like a nice latte, but if I'm going hot, I'm doing Americano.
All right.
Those are all correct answers for sure. And by the way, Mariah, next time you're on a trip of any sort, any kind whatsoever, you were invited to submit a gas station coffee review.
Yes.
To us.
Have you seen our gas station?
Okay, so I was like doing my research, of course.
Yes, thank you. Well done.
Checking
Well done.
you guys out,
Yeah,
and I saw the coffees or the you know what I mean.
Yes.
And I thought that was really funny.
So
I thought that was a good bit.
Submit a
I'll
video
submit
to us,
one.
and we'll post it.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
submit
post it.
one, yeah.
Awesome.
Because there's no better way to experience this country than some of the shadiest gas station coffee locations on the planet.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, hey, Mariah, thanks for being with us. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
Love the conversation. As always, you can head over to dudesanddads.com. We'll make Mariah embarrassingly easy to find on the interwebs over there. You can
And
check
her
out our
van.
shows.
It's not hard.
And her van. Learn more about Marv. And Mariah's, we've heard it here. She's committed herself to getting back on the socials, updating all the content. It's gonna be top notch.
Yes.
At least one post in the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, so what else, Andy?
So yeah, if you have people that we should be interviewing,
Yeah, there you go.
send us an email, dudesanddadspodcast@gmail.com.
Love it.
We would love to get your friends, whoever has a great story.
Yeah.
We would love to talk to you.
Yeah, we'd like to introduce our friends to our other friends. It's always good. Guys, we're grateful for you checking us out, hanging with us. Thanks for being along for the ride. And until next time, we wish you grace.
And peace.